man, look at where we are. Look at where we are. A lot of people's sloppy gameplay coming out now, and that karma's hitting. A lot of people's hypocritical gameplay, and that karma is hitting. And that karma hitting for this fan base as well. The veto was played today, and Xavier won it. But there was a downside to him winning the veto going forward. It was a veto of who really wanted it the most. So Xavier gets the veto this week, but it costs him a lot. He has to go into solitary on Wednesday. So he'll be in solitary as the vote leads up, which could get interesting, which we'll talk about. But he loses all his BB bucks, and he has to be a third nominee in one of the next 2 weeks. So this overproducing really trying to fuck Xavier's game. But Xavier's still in a good spot. We'll see if it ends up fucking him down the line. But with Xavier winning the veto, Derek X looking like that back door. And we have to admit, he did this to himself. He wanted to make that big move by backdooring Christian. But what happened is instead of putting Alyssa and Christian on the block together, which yes is dangerous because Christian could win vetoes. But this is why I always say the backdoor should not be the end all be all. But because when he needed 2 pawns, one of those pawns was Sarah Beth. And the Leos in this game don't get over things, that's for goddamn sure. So it's going to be hard for anybody to talk Sarah Beth out of backdooring Derek X this week. But look, Hannah tried to tell Derek X on Friday to use his BB bucks to play in the roulette wheel and try and win his safety. But he did not listen. He didn't listen. He took a gamble. He wanted to keep his BB bucks to try and win that third power, the coin flip, coup d'etat, secret, in quotation marks, secret HOH. But this just goes back to how he's played these last 2 weeks. Once he backdoored Christian, his ego grew and he started to feel too safe. And when this happened in this game, unless you're the person in the best spot like Xavier, it could bite you in the ass, and it might bite Derek X because he told the whole house he had the 100 BB bucks, and then the fans, this fan base doesn't think ever, and just kept giving him the BB bucks. They saw Brittany get voted out because she had 100 BB bucks. And now the same could happen to Derek X because y'all voted him the BB bucks again. And let's talk a little more about Sarah Beth because I saw so many posts on both Twitter and Reddit talking about how much they were looking forward to Sarah Beth's villain era, while she's given you the villain era that you all wanted by voting out or trying to get Derek X voted out of this game, which is a huge villain era, the fan favorite, the person the fans are voting for. And you can't really be that upset with Sarah Beth if you wanted to see her villain era. Now I get that you didn't realize her villain era would be ran by Kyland, but she's giving you the villain era. And I know the fan base wanted that villain era to mean she was targeting certain people in the cookout. Alas, look at y'all now. So you better accept this villain era that you wanted out of Sarah Beth. Now, after the veto, it becomes Tiffany and Hannah not wanting to let go of their ex, going so far as to tell Kyland they would rather vote out Claire over Derek X going so far as to want to possibly volunteer to go on the block instead of Derek X. Now, if you'll remember, not so long ago, fan base, you clown asses out there, that when Azza volunteered to go on the block for Brittany because she knew she would be safe and she would help Brittany, oh, did the fan base tear her apart? Oh, they were saying Azza doesn't want to win the game. Volunteering to go on the pawn, go up as a pawn is stupid. Well, now we have Hannah and Tiffany talking up like they would possibly cause drama with Sarah Beth so that Sarah Beth puts them on the block. The fan base is like, oh my God, oh, look at these two wanting to help Derek X out. I can't believe how badass this is that they want to go on the block and help Derek X. Shut the fuck up, you hypocrites. This fan base does nothing but look dumb constantly. These hardcore fans on Twitter and Reddit just show their ass constantly, and their ass is dumb because they are dumb asses. If you are one of the people out there that were like, Azza is so emotional for wanting to save her pun in Brittany, even though Azza knows she would have the numbers because Brent's ass would be going home. But now, if you're one of those people being like, Hannah and Tiffany should go up on the block to save their closest person and Derek X, and that's so badass, and they know they're gonna have the boats, you are hypocrites. Hypocrites. Look at the mirror at yourself and call yourself a hypocrite because that's what you are. Okay? But if the inevitable happens and Derek X is the nom, something could change Sunday. I feel like Tiffany and Hannah won't go through with causing drama with Sarah Beth so that one of them get nominated. Because if they do, it would be obvious to Claire what they're doing. And they just lose her jury vote, most likely. But more of Tiffany's messy game has come out in the form of karma. Yes, Tiffany, who got on Azza for being too close to Brittany and being emotional, and saying her that Tiffany is not an emotional player, and even though she's feeling pretty emotional over Derek X getting voted out. If the noms are Derek X and Claire, guess who, once again, just like 2 weeks ago, decides who goes home this week if Tiffany and Hannah try to save Derek X? Yes, the jokers that everyone, fan base and players, always try to discount. I said for so long, Tiffany pushing away Azza was such a dumb fucking personal game, social game move to do because it made no sense in the first place. But if you discount anybody in one of these games, you're really only hurting yourself most likely because you should really want to have at least some kind of working, not necessarily a working relationship, but be able to talk game with those people. But Tiffany at one point even swore off wanting to talk game with Azza and Derek F, and that is just dumb. Because now, and then the other thing, Derek X was always wanting to bring Azza in on some of these alliances. Tiffany always shut it down. And now look, y'all better blame Tiffany if Derek X doesn't get the votes this week because she caused this fucking mess with her sloppy gameplay, with her emotional gameplay, with her all around dumbassery that she likes to do with people so far that we've seen, with her half the time trash ass social game. Because they need Azza and Derek F's vote to save Derek X. Because Alyssa and Xavier are for sure voting out Derek X 100%. And this is just at Derek X's backdoor. Something could change Sunday. Not looking like it right now. Even if they were to convince Kylie, which is who they were trying to convince to, change Sarah Beth's mind or just not vote out Derek X and vote out Claire instead, they still need one more vote. So it would have to be Derek F or Azza. And can't be Tiffany who's probably going to get that vote, especially from Derek F. She could maybe talk to Azza. So it would really probably have to be Hannah to do it or Derek X to do it. But as I've seen tonight, Derek X's pitches to save himself are shit. And I feel like he thinks he's safe still. He still has that ego. He's feeling super safe. He thinks he just has the votes to stay, and his ass doesn't. So hopefully he puts in some work if he has to. But yeah, I do love it when things I've been saying all season start to come to fruition, and a lot of them have come to fruition in these last couple of days. A lot of Derek X's just talking too much has got him in trouble. Tiffany's sloppiness and just emotional gameplay is getting her in trouble. And Oz's pretty much great social game. Oz is great with every pawn left in this game. If Alyssa wins the next HOH, Alyssa and Ozzy have had a pretty good talk. It doesn't seem as though Alyssa would nominate Ozzy. I mean, it's still a possibility because the numbers are dwindling. But I think Alyssa would probably target Tiffany and Claire or Hannah if she were to win HOH. But things could always change. All I know is ain't karma a bitch? And when you play sloppy in these games, every decision eventually has some sort of aftermath. Sometimes you could fix it, but sometimes you can't. And I think Tiffany can talk with Oz and Derek F and try and save Derek X. But Oz and Derek F had a talk tonight and said Derek X needs to go. So they got their work cut out for them to make up for their Tiffany's piss poor social game that we've seen thus far.